Hey, this is your friendly neighborhood redrawing graphic artist, Mike White. Anyway, I'm just checking in here because I've got another project. And I'm making this for two reasons. I'm hoping that someday people are going to find these videos and they're going to help them tremendously. But I'm also making this video for my client because, in this case, it's important to educate about what's wrong with things. I'm definitely not shaming anybody. I'm trying to make sure that they get a little bit of education out of this while I take the time to fix it. And I'm just hoping that that's appreciated and well received. I never know, how that's going to be taken. But bottom line is, got this artwork and it looks great. It's just the wrong size. And, it's so important to educate about that, like what about size. So we've been sent this to get printed at 8 inches by 8 inches. I think that's the right size without looking up the order again. And when you look at the image, you can tell, it tells you right here in Windows, it's 873 by 477. And you can also get this information from your phone. You can look in your photos and click on info on a photo and find out what size it is. So it's 300 pixels per inch. So if you want something printed 8 inches wide, it needs to be 2400 pixels wide in order to be the right size, and that's for good resolution. It might look good on a phone, it might look good on a monitor, but it doesn't look good when it's printed. It's actually gonna, you're gonna be able to look at it really close, and it's going to look messed up. And if that's not the look you're going for, because that might be what you want, then it's not going to be good when you print it. Okay, and so here we go. I'm opening this thing up. All right, let me close some of these other projects I got. So let's close all others. No, we don't want to save. We're good. No saving. All right, so this image is, like we said, 873 by 477. But a lot of that is white space. And you can see that, on the sides. So if you come in here, this is all that's really... this is all the part of the image that we actually have. So let's just copy that. I'm going to put that on a new layer. And then I'm just going to turn this layer off. And then I'm going to trim it. I'm using Photoshop here. Image trim based on transparent pixels. So now we're a little closer to the dimensions here. And now if we look at the size, it's really only 447 by 477. So this is only good enough to be printed about 1.5 inches when you look at the 300 pixels. And a lot of people don't know that. But 300 pixels per inch is what's recommended for printing. And that's to get the most crisp and clear. Now also, and I'm not trashing the image. I like the design. I'm trashing the quality of it. I'm trying to educate about that. It's blurry even at this size. So if we blow it up, if you go up here and do image size and just blow up the pixels that are already blurry, it's just going to look a whole lot more blurry. And so I've just increased it. We're looking at this at 100%. So we're looking at this at the actual size of the image. And if we check the image size now, we're going to see it's 1500 by 1601 at 300 pixels per inch. So that's still not big enough to be printed 8 by 8. So we'd have to blow this up to 2400. And now we're looking at it at 100%. That is literally what it's going to look like printed. It might be a little softer. This might be a little less forgiving, but it is going to be something like this when it's printed. When you're going to have to look at it close to see it, but you will see it, and you'll even be able to tell from far away. I mean, what it's going to look like from far away is just kind of like out of focus, too soft. It's not going to look right. So how do you fix something like this? Well, you're not going to like the answer, but I'm going to show you, and we're going to work on it anyway. So I'm going to take this back down. Let's just Control Z that last change. This is good enough size to try to fix. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can put this on 2 times speed, and it'll be a whole lot faster and a lot less boring. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to pull this open in Inkscape. All right, and so let's just pull this open. I saved it off as a PNG. It's not transparent though. I'm going to embed this in Inkscape. So I've just embedded it in this Inkscape document. Now, there's lots of tricks. I mean, I said you won't like it, but I mean, you might. We might actually get lucky. There's so many different tricks we have up our sleeve. I mean, one thing you can do is you can use Gigapixel. And Gigapixel is a lovely program. It's called Gigapixel AI. It's by Topaz. And you can actually pull this open in Gigapixel, and it will try to blow it up for you. And so it's working on it. It's thinking. You can see it down here in this left-hand corner. It's trying to blow that up. And a lot of times Gigapixel actually does a really good job, but it can't save something that's quite this bad. And it's not bad. Like I said, I never want to criticize. It is literally just too low res for even Gigapixel to fix. And sometimes you get lucky. There's different options over here. You can choose standard, art and CG, high quality, low res, very compressed. I've actually ran through all of these on this, and I have not been able to find one that looked good. So I'm just letting you know about this tool. This sometimes can save your life and make your work very easy, but it's not going to work this time. So I'm going to get out of there. And it's kind of hit or miss. You know, it's hard to tell when Gigapixel is going to do well. If something just needed to be upscaled like twice, in this case, we're trying to go like almost 10 times the size. It might work for twice the size. It just different images. It just reacts differently to. It has that artificial intelligence, so it really thinks about it. Okay, so another thing we can do is we can try Trace Bitmap. So Trace Bitmap is a wonderful feature. We're here in Inkscape. And what it does is it literally just tries to find the lines. And I'm looking at this, we might really get lucky. I mean, it's going to lose some of the detail possibly, like the shine and the glasses. But what I'm looking at here and seeing, it looks like it's nailing the shape pretty good. So this is really good. This is going to, we might literally get lucky. I just hit OK, so it should be working. I think it's actually done. It was that fast. All right. It always throws me off. And I'm going to pull this over and we're going to see. Yeah, look, I mean, it's lost some of the detail and it's lost some of the attitude. But for the quality difference, going from this blurry, definitely not suitable for printing, to this semi-okay, I think that's actually going to make us happy. I mean, this time we're getting lucky. The other option, just so you know what it is to redraw it. And I mean, you can see this in all of my videos, where we literally have to go around the edge and redraw. And, I mean, if we had a really large order for this, I probably would take the time to do this. I think this is more like a test order, just to see how we do. And I'm hoping that we're getting top marks, for even, going this far. But I would, I can and will just redraw this. And the way you would do that is you'd redraw, one side, and then flip it and then just mirror it on the other side so that you didn't actually have to redraw the whole thing. But I mean, it's up to the client, of course. But in this case, I mean, I think that we've got a pretty good results just with the trace. Good enough to pass, One thing that's bothering me is like we're missing this little bottom part of this beard. And we might just have to take that out and make that like, just kind of have some attitude and have a little point there. Might want to smooth some of this up. But, the bottom, snapping is on. Snapping is not your friend most of the time. So we'll just smooth that up. We might have a double vertice there, so we'll just take those and merge those together. So now we got the tip of the beard. We don't want these little pieces over here, I don't think. We're just going to get rid of those. And that's pretty good. So Inkscape saved our life. And as long as the client's happy with it, I'm gonna send this to them, and hopefully we just literally saved ourselves, maybe an hour or two of redrawing this thing. So, to finish this up, we're just going to go align and distribute. We're going to distribute it on the page. I'm going to go to document properties, and we're going to trim it up real nice. So we're going to resize it to content. So now the page is exactly the size. There's no white space, no wasted pieces around the side. And then we're going to export it. So you know what? I was going to export it. There's no reason not to keep this as a PNG. I'm going to go ahead and export it anyway, just so that I'm putting it, so I can send it back to my client in case they're not able to see it, on the, in case they're not able to see it on their phone or whatever, wherever they are. I'm going to make sure that they get it back as a PNG and as an SVG. And so let's talk about the width. You don't want to just go crazy. And I mean, I've said this 1,000 times in 1,000 videos these days, it feels like. But you want to make sure you save it at a size that's good. So, one day you might want to put this on the back of a shirt or the back of a jacket. I'm going to go ahead and save it at 3,600 pixels. I'm just going to change that on the height, just take the greater dimension. And so that's going to be ready for 12 inches. It's one of those things where you don't want to just go really big. I've seen that a lot. I've seen people upload like 7,000 pixel images, and then they only want to print it at like 10 inches. That's a waste. That's a waste of like our hard drive space, your hard drive space. It's a waste of the internet. It's terrible. Just, there's no reason to just go super big for the sake of, you heard bigger was better. It's not better. The right size is better. But you do want to think to the future and say, what if I ever wanted this printed at 12 inches? So I usually start things at 3,600. I mean, 12 inches is going to cover most everything that you're going to run into. So we're just going to export that. And then we're going to go check it out, make sure we're happy with it. I mean, again, I know I could do better, but it's so much better than what we started with. And you can even see it. Let's go ahead and make this, let's blow this canvas up to 3,600. And I'm just going to pull that image we just did in. And we'll size that up. This is not necessary. This is just to demonstrate the difference. You can see, how crisp that is compared to that. And while I still feel like there's a little more style and life in the lines, but it's just not going to look good printed. So this is like the best I could do in a short time to get things fixed up. So I'm going to send that to the client, and hopefully this taught somebody something and helped out. Have a great day. Okay, so this is the second part of the tutorial. And, the problem we have here is that we don't know what the font. I actually just talked to the client. We don't know exactly what this font is. So I just did a quick search, and I found this D-Day stencil. And it's definitely at least got the same vibe and the same feel. So what I'm going to do is just install that font. So first things first, we'll extract it out. And we're going to get that opened up. And we'll just install the TTF. Oh man, it's because it's so busy, it actually is making the computer struggle a little bit. And like I said, it's not exactly the same, but it looks nice. I think it's definitely got the intent. And so you want to take Photoshop and you want to close it, and then you want to restart it, because to activate the new font, you have to actually like close out of the application and come back in. So since we have our new, cleaned up artwork, come on Photoshop, I told you to wake back up, come back home. I'm probably just going to finish this off in Photoshop, so we'll let that start up. I hope you're watching this in at least 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed, like I said, because it's slow going. But I just really feel like it's good to try to show these things off and try to spread that knowledge. So I'm just going to start this drawing at 3600 by 3600. So we got a blank canvas here, and we're just going to pull in this redrawing of this PNG. So when you drag something in Photoshop like that, it actually keeps it as a, I'm holding Shift and Alt. It puts it in this mode where you're actually, positioning it. And it's got it as a smart object. And that's the best way to keep your artwork. When you're working in Photoshop, this is a smart object, meaning it's referenced. If I double click it and open it, that's the actual object. Those are the actual pixels. And when I'm working with it here, it's just a reference to the object. So I'm going to draw a line, right down the middle, and it snapped. It snapped to that line. And then I'm just going to take, we're going to make a mask for this. So we're not even going to delete the actual pixels. We're going to make a mask. We're going to do reveal all. And I'm just going to select, that thing's perfectly in the middle of my document. And now I've made a perfect selection because it snapped to my line. And we're just going to paint on that mask. I never can remember if I need to paint black or white. All right, black. And so now that's got that cut off, and you can see over here in the panel, like that is connected. That mask is connected. So if I resize it now, which I'm going to have to do to give myself some room for our letters, and I'm holding Shift to constrain the proportions. And it doesn't matter if I go too small and then I need to drag it back up later because I'm using that smart object. If I wasn't, then I need to be real careful and make sure that I actually had, that I didn't make it any smaller. The smart object just kind of takes the concern out of it. All right, so we're going to find that image and we're going to pull it in here. And we're going to use it as a reference so that we can size it up and stay true to the original artwork. So let's just pull this down. I'm holding Shift to constrain the proportions. I'm going to get it close, and then I'm going to drop it in place. Yeah. Just go past it and then come back. And then it looks like it needs to scoot up a little bit. And go past it and come back and know that you're pretty much right on it. All right, I think that's as close as I can reasonably get it. And I'm just going to use this as a position. I can get rid of this ruler now by just dragging it off to the edge. And then we're going to get that font. So we're going to look for that font. D-Day. There it is, D-Day Stencil Regular. And we're just going to click right here. And we're going to type our release. Control T, and then hold Shift while you scale it. All right. So that's lined that up. And it looks like the original was a lot wider. So we're just going to stretch it out. And it's not going to match up perfectly because it's not the same fonts. But we're going to get close and just hopefully at least stay with the intent of the original artwork. And so I'm just going to get rid of so you can see, with that distress, it's really hard to see. All right, so now we're just going to duplicate that layer. And that's keeping us in the same, kind of scale as the other. And we'll retype this. T-H-E. All right, I'm just going to put it up here in the corner. And then we'll transform it. And I'm being all careful and trying to maintain the proportions. And I don't like this one as much as the original, but at least it's going to be clean. That's what I'm telling myself. At least it's going to print well and look good and hopefully make my client happy. So again, we'll just get rid of that so we can see what we're working with here. And then we're just going to duplicate this again and bring this down. And then we're going to scale it. And I'm not holding Shift this time. I'm just free forming it to try to get close. Oh, well, half my problem is I need to retype what it says. B-S-T. keep scaling it and just get it into something close to the original. That's looking good to me. And then I'll just get rid of that original. And that's our finished piece. So hopefully that makes them happy. To finish this off, you just want to do image trim. And I know that's a messy font, so it's like silly maybe to be worried about it, but it's not messy. That's at 100%. I mean, it's messy in a clean way, if that makes sense. You know, that's like blurry, and this is clean, even though it's messy. You know, so yeah, I think it reads well. I think it's good. He said I could use my judgment, and that's what I'm doing. All right, so now I just export this as a PNG. So actually check the size. So it's not the size that I'd like, but you know, I've got a smart object and I've got text. So it's just text in a smart object. So the smart object, like I said, has the pixels saved and the text is going to scale with the document. So if I blow this up now, I'm not losing any quality at all. Because of the way these assets have been created. So now I can scale that up and I can expect, you know, now we can print this at least 12 inches wide, you know. I always just make one dimension, either the width or the height, set at that 12 inches. And I would name this one Release the Beast. Awesome. Well, the point of these tutorials is hopefully to make my life easier one day by educating other people so that they can, you know, send me these graphics in a great shape. But always remember that at 143 Vinyl, we're going to help and we're going to hold your hand and try to make sure that we have a beautiful partnership here and in these prints. And remember, DTF prints at 143 Vinyl is the best place to get them. Hey, thank you guys and have a great day.